Poverty does not start when the wallet is empty. She is born long before, in the way we think and repeat ourselves mentally. You can spend your days convincing yourself that life is unfair or that we'll never have enough money, but the truth is different. Poverty lies above all in the mindset. As long as she dominate her thoughts, no financial resources will stay for a long time. The money will run between the fingers like water. No matter how much you earn. It is common to see people who work hard, receive reasonable salaries, and yet remain stuck in the same financial situation year after year. At first glance, everything seems to be in your favor: health, opportunities, even a little luck. But why then nothing changes? Because your way of thinking transforms any wealth into powder. An old Jewish wisdom compares this to a flat vase. No matter how much water you pour inside it, if there are cracks, the content will always escape. Similarly, a mind conditioned to poverty dissipates everything it receives, be it money, time, or opportunities. Often poverty is not inherited from what is missing in pocket, but by the beliefs and habits we repeat without question. Therefore, whole generations are stagnant while others learn to break the cycle. Today, we will explore 5 principles of Jewish tradition that deconstruct mental poverty once and for all. They are not limited to teaching how to make money, but how to think, see, and act differently. Without this internal transformation, no fortune is sustained. With her, even the little begins to grow, and life gets a new course. Poverty rarely arises from the lack of resources. It settles when we adopt attitudes that steal our future. Some receive the salary and spend everything immediately on superfluous. There are those who wait for the perfect moment to start living, but this moment never arrives. Others postpone daily. Tomorrow I start, and tomorrow he never saws. These people are not poor for lack of luck, but because their mind is full of standards that keep them trapped. Mental poverty acts quietly but devastating. It is the tendency to victimize rather than demand more. It is the belief that someone will come to solve their problems. It is the habit of postponing, postponing, and postponing until life passes. It is the craving for embracing everything at the same time, without focusing on what really matters. I've seen people who said, if I lived in another country, you had a better job or different conditions, everything would be distinct. However, they forget a crucial detail. Poverty accompanies them wherever they go, because it is not in the external circumstances, but in their standards of thought. Autocomplacence makes this poverty eternal. She whispers, you already do enough. It can rest. It's not your fault if things don't work out. Everything will be solved alone. But the reality is different. Nothing changes until you change your way of thinking. As the Jewish sages taught, poverty is a disease of habits. If the disease is in habits, healing is too. The first principle of this millennial wisdom is simple but powerful: value the little one. He breaks the most dangerous belief of the poor mindset, the idea that only the grandiose is important. I met a man in my community that was called miser. He joined coins, kept every penny in separate envelopes. This is not even money. The neighbors mocked. He is wasting time. Years later, that man opened a store, then another. His children studied. His house was full of life, while those who laughed at their economies followed empty hands. Modern authors like James Clear reinforce this idea. Habits function as compound interest. A small action, repeated hundreds of times, becomes surprising results. The poor mindset despises the little one. What is the difference? I save today or not? What is the importance of reading one more page? But it is exactly in this detail that the future is built. As Jewish wisdom says, who despises the little one loses the great, for the great is always born of the little one. My grandmother used to say, if you light a candle a day, the house will never be in the dark. So it is in life. If you value every little effort, you will be building a clearer tomorrow. Respecting the little one means storing a coin when there is no reel, read a page when there is no energy for a chapter, do a task when there is no time for 10. This attitude destroys mental poverty because it always belittles what seems insignificant, while wealth is formed just where the little one is valued as the basis of the great. The second principle is the same: transformative. Act now, without waiting. Mental poverty feeds a constant lie: wait, now it's not time. So things get better, but this logo never comes. An old parable illustrates this. A disciple said to the rabbi, I want to study, but now I have work, family, responsibilities. When everything calms down, I will begin. The rabbi replied, you expect tranquility to learn, but it is learning that will bring tranquility. If you expect the ideal moment, it will never come. It starts now, and the moment will become ideal. I saw this happen countless times. A young man dreamed of starting his business. First I will raise more money, then start. But the money disappeared, and he was postponing again. Another started from scratch and did it, without resources, but acted, your business prospered. Researchers like Nassim Taleb call this antifragility. They are the imperfect conditions that strengthen us. Daniel Kahneman explains, our mind deceives us, believing that the difficult one can be postponed, but tomorrow will be even harder. Jewish wisdom teaches, those who expect favorable winds spend their lives on the beach. The way only opens to those who walk, even under storms. I met a woman in our community with 3 children and a sick husband. Everyone said, now it's not time, but she studied at night in the candlelight. Years later, he became a medical. If I had expected the right time, it would still be in the market. Mental poverty feeds on the wait. Wealth is born of the action in the present with the resources you have today. The third principle is equally fundamental. Keep your word with yourself. Without it, any dream collapses. I met 2 men. One promised himself, this month I start saving, but always excused a holiday, a repair, an emergency. The other, even with little, fulfilled what he promised. Over time, the first remained stagnant. The second built security. Discipline with oneself is the foundation that sustains all achievements. And feel how it strengthens your way. These 5 principles are not magical formulas, but foundation built day after day. The difference between those who remain in scarcity and who advances towards abundance is not in external opportunities, but in internal consistency. A man may have 1,000 brilliant ideas, but if he does not turn them into concrete actions, they will dissipate like smoke. Another may have limited resources, but if you apply these principles with discipline, you will see your world transform not overnight, but irreversibly. Jewish wisdom teaches, the poor is not the one who has little, but the one who always wants more. This mental poverty feeds on chronic dissatisfaction, the constant comparison, the inability to value what you already have. Already the true wealth is born when we learn to work with what we have instead of regretting what we lack. Modern studies in economic psychology confirm this. People who cultivate gratitude and focus on the essentials tend to make wiser financial decisions and to build heritage in a sustainable way. See the case of the farmer I met. While his neighbors straightened by buying new machines and miraculous seeds, he focused on improving the quality of his land, spared seeds of the best harvests, and reinvested profits with caution. It was not the richest in the region, but it was the only one who slept quietly without debt. His wealth was not in the bank numbers, but in the security of knowing that his system was solid. Those who build what they have never get groundless. He said. The same goes for knowledge. Many people accumulate courses, books, and information, but never apply anything. Others, like a rabbi I met, devoted themselves to dominating an area deeply. He studied Talmud every morning, not to collect wisdom, but to live in according to her. Over time, his reputation as a wise and reliable man attracted opportunities that money could not buy. The lesson is clear. Depth overcomes superficiality. Who says yes to everything actually does not commit to anything. Here is the paradox that few understand. Abundance begins with the restriction. When you learn not to say no to the superfluous, it creates space for the essential flourishing. A chef does not use all the ingredients on the market in a single plate. He selects the best and matches them with mastery. Similarly, a rich life is not that full of things, but the one where each element has the purpose. Studies on minimalism and productivity show that people who eliminate necessary gain not only time, but mental clarity to identify real opportunities. Now imagine applying these principles in an integrated way. 1. Value the small. The seed plus act today planner equals discipline governing daily. 2. Comply with promises to oneself. Internal confidence plus seek meaning clear direction equals resilience force to persist. 3. Say no to the superfluous. Focus plus use money as a tool, not an end equals freedom conscious choices. The result is not just material prosperity, but something much deeper, autonomy, the ability to live according to their own values, without being hostage to the circumstances or opinions of others. As the philosopher Seneca said, the one who has little, but the one who wants the most is not poor. True wealth is in mastering your desires, not being dominated by them. So the final invitation is this. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Don't wait for the right time. She's an illusion. Do not compare with others. Your journey is unique. And above all, remember, every little action today is a brick in the construction of tomorrow. Poverty in mind breaks with hammers daily of conscious choices. Wealth, on the other hand, is not a destination, but a way of walking. And this path begins now. With the next step, you decide to take. There is an ancient wisdom that says, he who keeps the day keeps life. It is not tomorrow, neither after, nor when the conditions are perfect. It all starts with today's step. And here is the truth that many forget. You are not weak. What happens is that, gradually, The strength of discipline and the meaning of purpose were lost in everyday life. But they didn't go out, just fell asleep. Awaken them, when you rescue the habit of acting with intention. Mental poverty does not resist. It dissolves like fog in the sun, because the mind busy building has no room for downtime. Life, then, becomes meaningful one step at a time, not for magic, but by choice. This is not a call to perfection, but to practice, to turn dreams into routine and words into destination. Here we learn to live so that aspirations are no longer just distant desires and become the fabric of their own history. The first wire is already in your hands. What will you do with him?